It's December, which means it is 2024 planning time. And if you are in the thick of it, I feel you. It's tough. If you have not started, it's okay. You're not that far behind. But as you're thinking about the things that you want to implement in 2024, I wanted to start a series to talk about the tactics that have been super effective for our clients this year, and they are doubling down on in the new year. Before I dive into today's topic, which is webinar strategy, my name is Courtney Galster. I am the founder and president of Amplify Marketing, and we work with clients across the nation in professional services with a specialty in working with financial service firms and health tech companies. So just to kind of dive in to the whole concept of webinars, they've been around forever. A lot of our clients have used webinars in the past with varying success, and that is twofold. The reason for that is twofold. One of which being a lot of webinar strategies in the past have been tied to co-hosting with an association or trade group that you're a member of or a vendor of. And the success is tied to how engaged their member base is and how well they promote the webinar for you. And the good side of that is that if you are a member of a trade association that does a great job promoting you, there is a trust transfer that happens on those episodes or recordings where their members are kind of getting that tangible trust transfer from the organization to your organization, which builds more credibility for you in their eyes. And that's a great thing because it creates a stronger conversion rate for you. The downside to this type of content, though, is that it's very expensive. For the most part, our clients have spent between $5,000 and $10,000 per webinar over the last year with trade associations, which I believe is a very high cost to pay for a 1-hour event that you typically do not own the rights to, and you don't get that content afterwards to repurpose and share with your own network. So if they don't do a good job promoting it, or if they just don't have that engaged member base, you sunk a lot of money into something that you can't take and re-leverage to get your ROI out of it, which can sometimes be a dangerous proposition. So we have kind of turned that strategy on its head for a lot of our clients this year across a ton of different industries. And some of our clients have been using webinars for a long time. Some really only got started in webinars over the last year or two. So there's a huge mix of different types of businesses, different types of industries that are being served. And this has been largely successful across all of them. And so I want to talk first, kind of dive into why that is and why we're seeing success in that space and where our clients are really seeing that ROI come from. And then talk a little bit more about the things that you should be doing as part of your strategy. So the first thing is that video content on its own is a huge piece of marketing right now. It's everywhere. I mean, you've probably heard about it. There are platforms completely dedicated to video content. And so you and your company need to be creating video content to really be successful in marketing right now. But not everybody is comfortable with traditional video content like what I'm doing here, which is creating this video. And while you can build that confidence and that comfortability over time, it's sometimes easier to record in a video format and then repurpose that video in different ways to check the box. I'm getting video done. And that's what a lot of our clients are loving about video, excuse me, is that they don't have to constantly be creating content. We can create one longer piece of content that's a low pressure piece of content. Maybe it's more conversational because they're doing a webinar, interviewing someone, or they're being interviewed by someone, or they are telling a story about something more specific where they're not having to just kind of dive in to who they are and what they do. And so that is truly one of the biggest value points of having these webinars is that not only do you own the webinar, so you own the rights to the video, you are more in control of what's shared, you're in control of how your brand is presented, and you're in control of what you're offering as part of the video or how you're doing the follow-up to the video. You can take that and repurpose it for your YouTube channel, for your website, for your newsletter. And also you can cut it up into smaller segments and use it as video on social media. So there's a lot of different ways that you can take this one piece of content that, yes, is more of a time investment to create, but gives you so much more at the end of the day. Video content webinars in general, they build more credibility because people see you on a screen. With the rise of ChatGPT, there is less trust in written content, which doesn't mean that blog content isn't still important. It is, especially as part of your SEO strategy. But video content can really help when you want to stay engaged with clients who maybe don't see you face to face all of the time, or if you are trying to nurture prospects to the next layer of your sales funnel or your sales cycle. Video content can help do that because it's more credible, kind of like picking up a phone, than just sending an email. So those are a couple of the ways that webinars can help. They're also a great way to showcase your expertise or showcase partnerships that you have. So if there are other trusted groups in your market that you are partnered with and you offer complimentary services, it's a great way for you to partner up to both showcase your expertise, both bring your audiences to watch the video. You're expanding your audience by doing that. And then also showcase how you work together for prospects in the pipeline who maybe don't think that you have the depth of capabilities to work with them. It gives you the ability to bring other firms in or other groups in that can complement your offering. So that's kind of nice to showcase those partnerships and also build additional credibility. So as you're thinking about implementing a webinar strategy, what do you need to do? The first thing you need to think about is whether or not you would do this as a live video or a pre-recorded webinar. The biggest differentiator between those two, other than like a lot of people are not comfortable doing live, is that you lose the interaction when you do a pre-recorded. So you can't answer questions live on video when you have a pre-recorded video. So you have to weigh that, the value of having that Q&A, which some teams need, especially if your webinars are more client-facing than prospect-facing. You probably want that live element versus having something pre-recorded where you have more control over the editing and the finished product. You can edit it down a little bit more. You can add more visual elements to it. There's a little bit more control over it. So that's the first thing to think about. The second thing to think about is your platform. There are a ton of good platforms out there. We use Demio. That is my personal favorite right now. That could change in a year, so don't quote me on that in 12 months' time. That is what we're using for 2024. It has a ton of functionality. It has great tools. Our clients have used it and been really happy with it. It has opportunities for live or pre-recorded video, but there are other ones that we have clients that use, like Zoom webinars or GoToWebinar, the common ones that you've heard of. And my best recommendation is to make a checklist of what you need in a webinar software, and then find 2 or 3 that fit that and do a free trial and test them out and see what works the best for you. Because a webinar platform, like a project management system, does nothing for you. It could be the best webinar platform in the world, but if you don't use it or you don't feel comfortable on it, you're never going to use it. So choose one that works for you. The third thing to think about is promo. So the most important aspect of getting people to show up on your webinars is how you're going to promote it. And while you know you're going to promote it on social media, what you might be surprised by is that email is actually the #1 way that we get people to sign up for webinars. So for some of our clients, that's just sending out emails to their client base. So for some of them, it's sending it out to a prospect base. How many people are in your audience is obviously going to impact that. So you should be continuously trying to grow your audience with qualified prospects that would be receptive to your message. I'll talk in a different video about that process and what you should be incorporating into that. But those are different ways that you can build your audience. Make sure you're using email. Make sure you're using social media. You should be leveraging those things more than once leading up to your webinar date. And you should also have a integrated email integrated email plan for people who have signed up to remind them of the webinar. All of those pieces are important. That last piece with that webinar follow-up to people who registered already, my recommendation is to look for a platform that does a lot of that for you, because then you're not manually trying to schedule all of those follow-ups. The next thing that you should consider is how you're going to repurpose the content. So once it's done and created, are you going to save it and repurpose it for a future webinar? So you're going to use it again. If you do a webinar in December, are you going to take that and make that a webinar again in February? Is that part of your plan? Or are you going to take it and put it on YouTube, put it on your website, send out a link in your newsletter, or have your salesperson do direct follow-ups with people, cut it up and use segments of it on your social media feed. What is the plan for that? Have a plan before your webinar goes live. And the final thing to think about is that replay function. Are you going to do a replay? Are you going to make this, if it's evergreen content, does it make more sense to leverage this as a lead gen tool that you have once a quarter or once a month instead of doing something that is a one and done that you're now repurposing for the rest of your presence? There's no right or wrong answer. It really depends on the content and who your audience is. So I hope that's super helpful for you guys today. If you have questions or if you want to make a plan for webinars for 2024, please feel free to reach out to me. I'll drop my email in the post of this video, and I hope you have a great day.